Igor, hello. Dmitry, hello. Well then, we're going to have a hot meeting today. We've prepared some very interesting information. Greetings to everyone who's being active in the chat. We have a request from our regular partners, clients, and from the leaders. We already have a huge community. A request for very brief, concise, and clear technical information regarding our pool. We are essentially the Formula X pool. So our name is on trend along with Gonka. The Gonka project from the Lieberman brothers. And with our pool, we've declared our intentions to become the #1 pool or to lead in this market. We have all the necessary ambitions for this, all the necessary resources, and a very cool IT team. Great technical specialists, and of course, the best, coolest international community. The pace of our meeting will be roughly, it'll take about 1 hour. The first 15 minutes, well, maybe 20 at most, yeah. This will be a brief, concise presentation of our pool, essentially. Based on this, you'll get an idea of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And then, actually, our invited guest, part of our team, our technical specialist, will answer questions directly related to mining and participation in mining. That is, where our servers are, what our cost price is, why the loading into mining happens at a certain time, how to take a leading position in general, any questions. By the way, you had the opportunity to send these questions via a Google form. It's on our channels. You can scroll through, find it, and write if you haven't already. Some very interesting questions are waiting, and I'll read them out to you now so you understand what to expect, and at the end, you'll get the answers to them. Well, basically, where the data center is located, what a GPU server physically does. When it mines GNK, then where the new GNK coins come from, what exactly they're awarded for, that is, what the actual mechanics are. Roughly how many coins a node can mine per day, how many a user can mine per day, how many nodes are in the network now, so you'll find out how many are ours right now. What's more profitable, buying servers or renting them? What our vision is for increasing profitability, what we're doing, and essentially how the loading of money happens. Well, also some additional questions. Our team will answer how we differ from other tokens or projects. Why exactly did we choose the race? So these are the questions. And of course, you will learn how to make huge money thanks to this amazing opportunity. Well then, I think those who already joined the meeting, thank those who invited you to it. For those watching the recording, this info will also be very useful. As you haven't seen it in the form, it will be presented today. Artificial intelligence is an integral part of our future. I used to always use a search engine that was convenient for me. Now I ask all my questions to ChatGPT, the paid versions, and I have several projects there. Health projects, biohacking, the race, relationships, various tokens, financial structure. Well, in short, a lot of projects. I don't use GPT agents yet, but I realize that without them, I'm missing out on a lot. Well, there's also a very large number of people who are already using artificial intelligence, and no one will argue that artificial intelligence is changing the world, and we won't recognize it at all in 5 years, because the speed of these changes is increasing manifold compared to the speed we had before. Tokens that opened up new markets are Solana, BNB, XRP, Ethereum, and accordingly GNK. You understand that every new token opened a new era, a new industry, something new altogether, opened a new sector. For example, either it was micro speed fast transactions, or it was compensation for trading, or it's used in the banking system, or you can write smart contracts on Ethereum. It's the progenitor of smart contracts. And accordingly, the Gonka token from the Gonka company, the GNK token, today opens up the newest technological infrastructure with huge potential as it opens a $1 trillion market. None of the previous well-known tokens has opened a $1 trillion market yet, but the Gonka token can actually surpass all existing tokens manifold and take this market to the top level. Soon we will see how it all unfolds, so definitely take a really close look at this token and be sure to carefully decide for yourself to have at least a little bit of this token. If you didn't buy BNB at 5 cents, if you didn't buy Bitcoin at 1, 2, $10 or 1,000, then you can own the Gonka token for any amount absolutely affordable to you. Bitcoin came out a long time ago, 17 years ago. And we know that the world is changing so much that very soon, in less than 17 years, there will be more robots than people. Robots are already producing other robots, and factories are already being repurposed for robot production. And the richest man on earth, Elon Musk, is involved in this. I mean, his ambitions, no one can deny that this man succeeds in everything he takes on. So it's definitely going to happen. And all these robots, they must be controlled by artificial intelligence. They have a brain. All of them need to be provided with artificial intelligence. And this is impossible without infrastructure growth, which is happening right before our eyes. Oh, without artificial intelligence, the future is simply impossible. The market is growing very strongly, ahead of the market. I mean artificial intelligence. This industry is faster than the cryptocurrency market, and at some point it will overtake it and overtake it many times over. If the cryptocurrency market has reached a total of, say, 3 trillion, then the artificial intelligence market will break through figures of 10 and 15 trillion. Therefore, by capturing at least 10% of this market, and the Gonka protocol can do this, it has absolutely everything for it. Consequently, it could go down in history as one of the great infrastructure projects. All artificial intelligence belongs to 5 American corporations. This is a problem. Gonka solves this problem. That is, it's a platform that unites owners of powerful computers around the world into one global network to create and launch separate artificial intelligences that don't belong to these 5 corporations but are their own private ones. Since no entrepreneur, no creator of an artificial intelligence service today can compete in any way with the data centers, with the capacities owned by NVIDIA or Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, that is, no one can compete with them. But the Gonka protocol allows for the unification of all unused data centers into one global network and lets them be used by other artificial intelligences, so it's strategically important for any state as well as for any large corporation. And Gonka is precisely such a platform. Gonka turns computing power into the new Bitcoin, but it's important to understand here that this isn't a second Bitcoin, it's something else. It's an opportunity for some people to earn from their hardware and for others to develop artificial intelligence without the colossal costs of creating data centers. Creating data centers takes years. For example, building them takes 9 months, ordering equipment takes, say, 5 to 6 months, and putting them into operation usually takes a year. And anyone who creates artificial intelligence or wants to train it will have to wait a year, yeah, at least before he gets a data center. But the Gonka protocol, it gives an instant opportunity for any AI creator to instantly connect to existing power and instantly start teaching and training their artificial intelligence. So basically, this is exactly what makes it such a know-how. There's already a lot of talk about this. If you haven't had a chance to watch these podcasts, then check them out. For example, Margulan Seysembayev, after a talk with the Lieberman brothers, the creators of this protocol, decided that he would invest $1 million in Gonka. We noticed this trend, yeah, and decided to create a pool accordingly to also invest with our pool 1 million, 2, 3, and maybe even more. Other authors have also revealed why Gonka will grow and why a decentralized internet is beneficial. If you haven't watched them, you definitely should. And the Forbes interview, if you haven't read it, go find it. Bitfury is buying up in Gonka 12 for $12 million, buying 20 million tokens at a price of 0.6. This is a very important figure, a very important realization that a major investor entered Gonka at a price of 0.6 specifically into the token itself, and also put an additional $38 million into the production of cutting-edge equipment that will surpass today's existing models in speed. And accordingly, the question of buying equipment now that will be obsolete in the next 3 months isn't even on the table. So it makes sense to repeat what successful people do, what people who have built up huge fortunes are doing. For instance, at its peak, Bitfury's market capitalization was approaching $2 billion. Accordingly, people with a good head on their shoulders understand what they're doing. They understand they need to lead a new market, and they are leading it. Through the production of cutting-edge equipment, we're just repeating what a big whale is doing. We're following the whales and becoming big and major players right along with them. The Lieberman brothers are behind the project. Their experience is valued at 400 million, their corporation, their network of businesses, everything they own. So they exited their last business with a very large profit, $60 million. Therefore, they have the resources to create such a huge project like Gonka and such a powerful one. The GNK token, more than just a cryptocurrency, it's a universal unit of account within the Gonka network. If Bitcoin is digital gold and all the power and strength of the computers mining it are spent just to get a hash, then Gonka is digital electricity that powers the neural networks of the future. That is, every neural network, to access, connect to the cloud and perform calculations, make a reference, or complete any task, you'll have to pay a microtransaction in the Gonka token. And accordingly, as soon as this process is streamlined and starts happening everywhere and in large volumes, it will trigger an explosive demand for the Gonka token. That's why now is the perfect time to stock up on the token. By any means absolutely available to you, by any resources, by any effort, just as you would have done if you had the chance to buy a Bitcoin back in 2011. If you knew then how things would turn out, how would you have acted? Well, that's exactly how you need to act now. As you study, well, understand all this information about Gonka, this is an asset that doesn't just sit in a wallet. It makes the fastest growing market in human history work for you. What do you need to start mining GNK on your own? Understand IT, programming, server setup, pay specialists from $5,000 in IT, connect equipment from $35,000, wait for that equipment, have space in an industrial data center, have uninterruptible networks, internet, electricity, cooling, security, support, 24/7 monitoring, and server control. So all of this can be organized. Well, you could spend a year on it if you're an industrial miner, for example, or if you're an individual, you could also set up independent Gonka mining in 6 months. The only thing is you'll have a very high cost price, very high production costs, because you won't be able to optimize all these processes. This is where Formula X, that is our platform, our mining pool, will help you participate in Gonka mining with the absolute minimum investment of time and money, thanks to our experience and our optimization, meaning you can start mining with as little as $25, with equipment costs of $35,000 plus, a very simple and convenient entry through a user-friendly platform, professional 24/7 service, maximum number of coins thanks to optimization. Our, well, leaders at one of the meetings asked me some questions, like, how many tokens will I get from you for $100? Well, yeah, and we worked out a simple calculation. Yes, did the math. We'll come back to that a bit later. And my answer pleasantly surprised them because through similar pools, well, like ours, through other teams, they were projected to get fewer tokens than through us. This is our competitive advantage. It's achieved through optimization, and accordingly, this is our resource to become number one of our resources. We provide constant support to our clients. Formula X is a high-performance GPU infrastructure operator specializing in the deployment and management of Gonka network nodes. In fact, our specialist today will explain how these nodes are deployed, what technical issues are involved, and how it all happens. We create a stable, mutually beneficial environment through long-term contracts, and this way, you can participate in Gonka mining as simply as possible without spending your time on all these technical processes. Key market problems, as I've said, high entry barrier to mining, complexity of setting up and supporting nodes, instability of private solutions. As I've said, you don't have uninterrupted internet, electricity, security, cooling, support, or maintenance. So most people just want to earn from mining, but they don't want to deal with the infrastructure. That's exactly why our solution is a perfect fit for you. So what do? We create a full cycle infrastructure. We deploy and maintain nodes, professionally manage capacities, ensure continuous stable operation, show transparent economics, and provide an accessible entry for investors. What does economic transparency mean? You can know our keys, meaning each node opens to a specific wallet, a key that provides access to the node. This node might contain, say, 2 by 8 H100s, or 4 by 8, 8, 12 by 8, 20, 50 by 8. So, well, nodes are scaled in these kinds of increments. Each node has a key. It's displayed on the Gonka Explorer, and you can transparently see how much was mined via the blockchain, how many tokens are mined every day. By understanding that you're in this specific pool, you can see the value, the valuation of this pool, you can see the number of tokens, and based on that, well, we display in your dashboard, the display of what yesterday's token mining cost was for yesterday specifically, and you understand like how much is yours and how much to expect from your money. So it's as transparent as possible, and our team is working specifically on visualizing this process so it's very clear to everyone. Just 3 steps. Create an account, register on the platform, choose a participation period and a suitable license. Activate the license or go without one, mine tokens, and the result is formed from actual mining every day throughout the period you rent these capacities for mining. Typically, the period is 30 days, 30 epochs, and then you receive your tokens. Mining licenses are our income, and they're also a tool for our partners. Accordingly, they can be free, yes, so the maximum you can load into equipment. To load into Gonka mining is $500. You don't get any other bonuses except for just 2 tokens and a personal referral bonus. And a bonus for personal recommendations if you recommend something to someone personally. All other licenses are suitable for scaling the affiliate program. They increase your limit on the maximum amount of load that can be put into the equipment. The higher the license, the higher the equipment. It is effectively a commission, like a commission when selling a car or a commission when selling an apartment. That is, there is a 3 to 5% commission charged by the one providing the service to you. So we provide you with the service and we charge a commission for it accordingly. But each license has an additional advantage. It is valid for 1 year, and during that year, we do a monthly drop of GNK tokens on it. So it is a source of income in and of itself. And next month, some amazing news awaits you. We are going to give a certain gift. We are currently preparing it, analyzing it, calculating it, and packaging it legally. That is, all license holders, typically those with large licenses, will receive maximum benefits from us in the form of a gift. We will talk about that at our next meetings. Licenses work very simply. So, our logic was initially formed around the idea that we create pools of $10,000 each. And we still stick to this logic now, but it is being adjusted slightly due to reality, because not all pools cost $10,000. They usually cost, well, they can cost more, like 15, 20, 50, or 100. Accordingly, we are gathering pools. As soon as a pool is gathered, it goes into operation, a queue is formed, the infrastructure is launched, and a forecast for GNK token mining appears. And based on this forecast, you can always see how much was mined yesterday. You can compare it with other pools, analyze it, and see for yourself that we have a competitive price. And accordingly, continue to receive your tokens. Data centers, meaning these are not just mining machines, it is on a truly industrial scale. Currently, Gonka mining is happening on H100s and H200s. We have both H100s in operation and H200s. Slightly different mathematics are achieved with them, but we are for diversification. The GNK token has huge potential for profitability because it has a limited supply. Specifically, with the increase in references, and as of today, there are 70,000 a month, 80,000 references. That is 70 to 80,000 requests from artificial intelligence to the Gonka platform to perform and solve its tasks. As the number of these requests increases, it is growing steadily. And when payments are made in GNK tokens, the GNK token is simply destined to grow. So this is a payment unit for real AI computations. The growth in the number of requests directly increases consumption and demand. And consequently, as a rule, this causes growth. The halving model. The sooner we get into mining, meaning if you want to start mining in a month, you'll clearly get fewer tokens than those who start today. For example, today 310,000 tokens are distributed daily among all miners. Tomorrow it'll be 300, and the day after 290. So the constant reduction model, the halving model, pushes miners to enter as quickly as possible and deploy nodes as powerfully as they can to gain the maximum advantage. That's essentially where the name Gonka comes from. And it really drives all the participants. I mean, all the participants are just loving this process. Fewer new tokens are being created. The long-term effect of accumulating a deficit. And the price gets support And right now, a very good detail is taking shape, which I'll talk about a bit later. Over these past 4 months, it's been analyzed that what Bitcoin achieved in 7 years. And what did it achieve in 7 years? The Lieberman brothers did an analysis. They very cleverly calculated the total number of Bitcoins mined, the number of hashes produced, and the amount of effort miners put into it. So they multiplied it, derived the amount of mining equipment based on its power over the years, and calculated the approximate cost of that equipment. And they came up with a figure that throughout Bitcoin's history, $300 billion has been invested into mining. They mentioned this on one of their podcasts. Consequently, a certain dynamic can be observed, and the Gonka dynamic shows that 250 million in infrastructure is already being integrated into Gonka equipment over the next 3 months. This figure is based on the number of active GPUs multiplied by their cost. So naturally, you can calculate this yourselves. So consequently, this indicator can now be analyzed as Gonka following a well-trodden path with crypto adoption already here, experienced crypto investors, and those who've watched Bitcoin's specifics. They know these opportunities shouldn't be missed, and Gonka is developing 20 times faster than Bitcoin. This clearly shows that it is truly a significant point of attraction for everyone who is currently on this Zoom call, as well as for anyone else who might be interested. Looking into this topic, mining economics. So the initial cost of mining was around 20 cents, but that lasted a very short time. Then it settled at zero point 0.2 cents. Now the current cost, considering large nodes, is 0.55, and for smaller nodes, 0.65. So within this cost range, all our nodes fit into this cost per coin. Accordingly, there is a price on the OTS. Well, let's say today we're turning on a node worth, say, $150,000. So maybe that is today will please you. Maybe tomorrow, maybe once they, debug it, we'll ask the technical specialist some questions now and it'll start working for us. Yes, it will, of course, have a super low cost price. We see how over 3 months there was a 5x growth. Yes, so it was, of course, both wavy and jumpy, but as of today, there's an upward trend. And as of today, the cost through mining, you can go to the OTC right now, and you won't find a token there at all with the price of, say, 0.55, 0.65, 0.7, 0.8. So through mining, it's definitely just more profitable to get the token. First, it's clean. Second, you always get it at a cost price lower than on the OT as well. As a rule, yes, that is sometimes, fluctuations occur, but as a rule, it's lower. And you'll, well, always get it at the most favorable price. The upcoming processes, everything that happened in Bitcoin will happen in GNK too. Here's how the mining and token unlocking cycle works. So regarding these slides, you can ask our specialist additional questions later. Installation period. Well, if you, for example, allocate resources today, right today, yes, then write today into the current large node with 150 GPUs, I think, that we're turning on, you'll get in. So if you allocated them yesterday, the day before and the day before that, your money was accumulating. And accordingly, as soon as we accumulate enough to turn on 8 or 16 GPUs at once, the activation happens. There's an installation period. Yes, installation, commissioning, the first period. Then the second period, the mining period, when extraction occurs. After the equipment is turned on and launched, set up, configured, and the node has a hash, it starts working for 30 days. And this can be extended further, yes, but the contract is for 30 days. Accordingly, for 30 days, 30 epochs, extraction takes place. Well, for example, you mine 1,800 tokens daily. Well, rather, our node mines that relatively speaking. And accordingly, 180th is unlocked. So if we mined 1,800 today, then 180th is unlocked today, which is 10 tokens. Tomorrow we mine 1,800, but we have 10 from yesterday and 20 today. The day after tomorrow, we mine 1,800. We have 30 from yesterday, today, and the day before. And so on. Over 30 days, we reach the maximum token unlocking. By the 30th day, it reaches, well, the peak unlocking of 300 tokens a day. If we were mining 1,800 a day, then on the 30th day, 300 tokens per day will be unlocked. This is just some rough approximate math. Next comes the full token unlocking cycle once your daily mining has finished. Tokens keep unlocking, 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 and unlocking, and then the unlocking process eventually tapers off and comes to an end. So, in the first period, your funds are loaded, and in the second period, mining and unlocking take place. In the third period, there is constant maximum unlocking, followed by a decrease. Our IT team is currently working on visualizing this process in the personal account on the synchronization. That is, through various widgets, through settings, through IP addresses, through writing the API. Yes, so that we can display it for you in your personal dashboard in your account. We have this dashboard on the GNK site for, well, for the main node. But to visualize this for you, some technical work is needed. We're doing it now, and once it's done, it's done. And after that, we'll just take off because any of you will be able to clearly understand that, for example, if you invest $100, right, at today's exchange rate, you can expect about 135 to 140 GNK tokens for yourself based on our math. And you'll see that in other pools, you'd get maybe 118, 120, or even 90, but with us, it's 135. That's it. So we've taken the top niche, we're number one, and our key leverage is the low cost of equipment. That's how we're reaching the top. Accordingly, this is our primary task right now to visualize this for you. Well, to use an analogy, we are here, and when we take off into space depends on how quickly the references happen. Once again, let me briefly talk a bit more about Bitfury. Bitfury was the company that made the very first investment of $12 million, which was specifically used to purchase a total of 20 million GNK tokens, all at a price of 0.6 per token. So if you're getting it today close to that price, 0.6, 0.7. It doesn't matter. Don't even nitpick that price. 0.6, 0.7. If you have at least that, then you're entering at the price of a sophisticated professional billionaire investor who's going to produce equipment, or rather is already producing it, and who intends to multiply his money many times over. So, accordingly, you're getting an exclusive opportunity right now to start owning the token through mining on equal terms and at the same cost as Bitfury. So this is a fantastic opportunity. An opportunity like this, well, few people have it, and you, accordingly, are the lucky ones. The technical transparency, security, and expertise of GNK itself have already been confirmed over 5 months. You can scroll through our websites. We'll duplicate this on our Telegram channels if you need to. Request it from your inviters. So all those things like tokenomics, white paper, GitHub, GNK scan, explorers. So all of that is already created and exists. It can simply be analyzed. Unlike other mining pools, we have a welcome bonus for each of you. If you register today, this is a limited time offer. It will end soon. It will stop soon only at the beginning while we're in the startup phase. So we're doing this for you. $25 in GNK mining as a gift for you exists with terms in your personal account. Yes, you need to perform certain actions to get this mining, but such an opportunity is built in for us. It's there, already working, and now it's time to answer questions. It's time for our specialist to join in. Well, I promised you 20 minutes, but it turned out to be 30 minutes. So I hope it was dynamic. I hope you are understanding about this. Oleg, greetings, join in. How's the video and audio? Give me some feedback. How are things on your end?
Dimitri, how do you hear me? How do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you perfectly. It's your first time with our community. Well, I want to tell you that Oleg is without video for security reasons. Well, security, you understand yourselves, you need to keep high-class specialists. Firstly, so they don't get headhunted. Secondly, so that, well, money simply loves silence. A person who, the less you know, the better you sleep. So,
I'm just an introvert. Just say it.
introvert. Uh, where is our data center located and what are our locations? Please tell us. Here's the first question I took from the Google form.
At the moment, our capacities are located in several data centers in Iceland, in Malaysia. The next batch of capacities, which, if all goes well, we will put into operation this week. It should be Portugal, England, Norway, and maybe Korea as well. We really try to diversify as much as possible in order to get the best conditions. Well, we're considering many locations, except of course for risky ones like the Middle East or the Gulf countries, because it's better to stay away. But we're looking at everything else, the best offers.
Good. Well, by the way, you can go to the Gonki Explorer and see the locations there if anyone's interested. All our partners and leaders know how to use it. Just ask them and they'll show you. Uh, Oleg, please tell us, how does Gonki mining physically happen in a GPU server? I mean, what does it do? What does this server do? And how and when does it mine this GNK token? How does it all work?
Uh, got it. So I'll try to explain it as simply as possible. Well, unlike Bitcoin, almost 100% of the GPU power goes specifically to useful work. In Bitcoin, it's just junk calculations, but here it's useful work, meaning inference, which you misspoke and called reference, as well as training neural networks. So the difference is inference is calculations for an answer and outputting that answer to the client who is chatting with the model and asking it questions. That's where the largest amount of capacity is spent. Simply put, well, large AI models are launched. For example, the Chinese Quen with 235 billion parameters is actively used now. In my opinion, it's a really large model for an open one. They run on these GPUs and perform calculations to answer requests from users of these LLMs. Basically, it's the same thing that ChatGPT or Claude Anthropic or other centralized corporate neural networks do. It's just that here it happens in a decentralized way.
Good. Thank you. The next question, where do new coins come from and what exactly are they awarded for? For server operation or for the number of calculations? I mean, how is this process set up now?
So new Gonka tokens are minted every epoch. Well, that is about once a day. They are minted in a fixed amount every time. Right now, it is around 310,000 for the last epoch. But this number is gradually decreasing, as you said, with the halving every 4 years. Every epoch, it is fewer and fewer coins. Consequently, a deficit is created. They are distributed for the actual work of your server. So that well, it probably makes sense to say here how the network actually checks who really did the work and who is trying to cheat the network. In order to properly verify and fairly distribute the emission, once a day the network holds a short 10-minute, well, actual race. It is called a sprint. What is this process? On all GPUs simultaneously, for all network participants, a small neural network is launched, which performs random calculations. So basically, the more successfully your GPUs are able to process these random calculations, the more points you get, and therefore you also receive Gonka tokens. This is called reward coins, reward tokens. And accordingly, in the next 24 hours, the network will bring specifically to you more real tasks from users. Real tasks from users are paid for separately. These are the so-called work coins. This is the distribution of payments from Gonka clients among network participants according to their weight. Right now, this is not as relevant because the network is, well, just starting to gain momentum. But when there are more clients, when the network develops, then at some point, perhaps this specific distribution will become the most significant rather than reward coins, which are slowly moving from halving to halving toward the end, since the total coin emission is fixed, just like with Bitcoin. For Bitcoin, it is 21 billion. Here it is 1 billion. If you want, I can also answer what affects the number of mined coins the most.
Well, regarding the race, I have one question now. Right now, we are essentially getting paid for mining, that is, mostly for mining.
Yes.
And at some point, all our nodes and GPUs will be getting paid specifically for right inferences, yes, for requests, for computations. So for now, well, I am looking, for example, there at the inferences, there in a month, there are 80,000, 70,000 requests. So their number, is growing. And at some point, all these artificial intelligences will start paying microtransactions. Yes, for computations, and this will trigger some kind of boom or a surge or a massive demand. For Gonka, so there's that.
I can even paint a broader picture. I mean, the clients, Well, I think we'll get to who the clients actually are later. But for all the clients coming in, the Gonka token, unlike most cryptocurrency tokens, has utility, meaning it has real value. And the whole economy is built on it. And for people to get, well, basically answers to their questions, which is inference, for companies that will be Gonka's clients, some already are, who train their models using these capacities, they don't pay for all this capacity in dollars. They have to pay for all of it with tokens, Gonka tokens, which is what creates demand for these tokens and a shortage, pushing the price up. So, yeah, something like that.
Well, you've just smoothly answered my next question. Who are the clients of Gonka itself? Not the miners, but the actual customers. I mean, who needs this? Who's reaching out? Who's doing these computations? But you've already started on that.
Let me explain why people are choosing Gonka and why more and more people will likely continue to prefer using it in the future. The main reason is that Gonka is actually significantly more affordable right now than using solutions from major companies like OpenAI. It is especially much cheaper than the option of buying, setting up, and maintaining your own hardware for either training or inference purposes. Well, for many, it's also important that there's no censorship as such and no limits on usage. For many, it's important that there's full decentralization. Even if you go to the Gonka dashboard, you can see, let's say, for example, decentralization gauge here. It's currently sitting at the maximum green level. This is quite important, of course, from an ethical standpoint on one hand, and also for security reasons on the other, because many companies that actively use ChatGPT or any other similar services are now becoming increasingly concerned that their corporate data is leaking, well, basically to OpenAI and all these corporations. Of course, it's stated in many places that we won't train on your data and so on, but who knows if that's true or not? We've been lied to so many times. So with Gonka, there are no such risks. The network is decentralized, and there's no single person or company that will take your data. So, yeah, something like that.
Look, I've just gone to Gonka Hub. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Here we can, well, see that there are 83 inferences per epoch, so that's per day, right, in terms of requests. There are currently 3,300 GPUs on the network. There are 122 participants. So, if I understand correctly, 122 pools have currently deployed their nodes and are mining Goenka.
Yes, these are very dynamic figures. For example, a few hours ago this morning when I checked, there were 132 participants, and the day before that, 110. And the GPU count is also approximate because it's impossible to say exactly how many of which specific GPUs are connected. And they're calculated here based on the weight of a standard H100 because that's more or less the most common and efficient solution. Yes, you're right. 122 network participants at the moment are either private individuals, which is minimal, or they are indeed some pools, large or small, that are mining. Within each participant, well, each conventional pool, there might be more than one card or even more than one node. Instead of 8 cards, it could be 16 cards, meaning 2 nodes.
Well, for example, our node, let's say on the first day it joined in the 193rd epoch, then it mines 1200, 1300, 1200, 1000. So a different amount of GMK per day, even though we pay the same amount for the rent. And that's why our mining cost fluctuates. It was one thing yesterday, another the day before, and something else the day before that. And so based on that, we can never really guarantee a client that there will be exactly this many tokens. It will be whatever it is in reality based on the actual mining. Yes, so
Yes, Dimitri, we can forecast, of course, but it's a rather thankless task because not everything is up to us. Everything that depends on us technically and organizationally, I'm sure, is being done to provide the best conditions, but the network is young and there are occasional glitches. Also, the number and composition of participants are always in flux, and rewards are rebalanced accordingly to reflect these ongoing changes. Everything shifts on a daily basis, and this dynamic environment requires us to adapt constantly. Our main goal is to ensure that in each epoch we maximize the capacity we have available, making sure our capacity is the best possible option. With every new contract and every new delivery, we strive to improve our processes and, as a result, reduce mining costs in each epoch as much as it depends on us.
well, look, we have two H100s. 2 times 8 makes 16 H100s, right? So, and our next one is, Okay, this is the same one now, right here. And it turns out the next equipment is 4 H200s. 4 by 8, well, there, 32 H200s. Right. And the next node that we're turning on, it significantly exceeds these in size, the previous ones.
Yes, of course, Dimitri. What you've just shown is indeed what we're running on right now. But this, you could say we've just opened the door a crack to see what's inside. Essentially, this was a testing phase. And if, well, you can see that these are already quite enterprise level capacities. If we had this at the testing stage, imagine what's next. We're actively working right now, putting in a lot of effort, and we should be able to launch a brand new batch of computing power literally this week as planned. This upcoming batch is not only going to be bigger in terms of scale, but it will also be of higher quality, and it will be much more efficient than what we've had before. Aiji, during the testing phase, as you can see here, we took a certain number of H200s, which are our current standard units, and ran them through a series of rigorous tests to ensure everything is functioning as expected. Despite the fact that by raw math at this point in time, and this is also a dynamic indicator, H100s are performing more efficiently than H200s, considering the price difference, which is also dynamic. But I think it's advisable for us, and we've verified this through our own experience. I think that in any case, we'll need to keep some number of H200s, since not so long ago there were times when H200s showed significantly greater efficiency than H100s. And I want us to be ready for any turn of events. And I'm sure the moment will return when more standard capacities will show better efficiency. So we'll keep, I think, the H200s as well. But we'll be scaling up the main volume of capacity on H100 GPUs. And as early as next week, you'll see what volume will be introduced.
Good. Tell me, please, about buying versus renting. Many don't understand. Why not just buy? Well, I tried to cover that in the presentation. Maybe you could expand on this topic.
Let me try to explain. Well, my answer to the question of buying servers versus renting them is actually quite straightforward. In my view, renting is always more profitable. Unless you're Elon Musk, of course. In principle, to Russia and a number of other countries where, as I understand it, our clients, users, and partners are located, it's extremely difficult to even import, in principle, H100 and H200 cards. And even if you can buy them, it's, well, a sky-high price, wild markups, and just waiting for a huge amount of time. And well, even if we assume that you really do have them, honestly, it's definitely not magic at all. You need to optimize electricity for computing. You need to optimize storage, security, and these are valuable resources worth more than gold. Right now, computing power needs professional maintenance, cooling, and many, many, many other things. And there's actually one more important thing that not many people really think about or consider. You should also take depreciation into account when making your decision. Depreciation is the drop in value of an item or capital over time, and GPU computing power, due to the fact that the industry is actively developing, tends to devalue very quickly. Well, yesterday there were H800, today there's already H200. NVIDIA is already preparing new ones, and they grow exponentially by Moore's law. And accordingly, old hardware quickly devalues. Why should you bear these risks? In the case of renting, you can get the most modern or most efficient at any given time and not pay for this depreciation. On regular consumer video cards, well, there's practically no point in mining. Moreover, you also need to correctly, even if all this is done, all these risks are accepted, well, you still need to correctly configure these capacities specifically for the race, and not just set it up once, but constantly monitor it, especially now in the early stages of network operation, when there are many updates, many different failures. And in the case of renting, not only is everything I listed done by professionals for you, in our case at a great price, I believe, but also thanks to the technical expertise of our ACE specialists in this field, we have the ability to carefully configure and continuously monitor all of the nodes that are operating within the race. This allows us to make sure that during every single epoch, we are able to maximize the number of rewards that we receive, consistently getting them above the average level. This is something that an ordinary miner, well, is very unlikely to be able to do on their own, simply because they do not have the same expertise or resources. And I think
Good.
that's all.
Thank you, Oleg. We have our invited partners who are actively developing our Formula X pool together with us. These partners, Igor, Sergey, and Anton, are each playing important roles in the ongoing development process. Their teamwork and collaboration with our team are essential to the progress and success of Formula X. You can join in the discussion, that is, feel free to ask some questions that I didn't ask Oleg specifically, because we have questions about the site about all these various issues, which I can answer without Oleg. But there are questions that we can't answer without Oleg. Igor, do you have any?
Yes, I have a question. Oleg, tell me, what criteria are used to select data centers?
Well, first of all, the most basic thing right now at this moment and what's relevant, we of course ask in which geographic locations their capacities are situated. And anything related to high risk locations like the Middle East is cut off immediately. Next, we take a look at the reputation of this particular vendor or supplier. We carefully examine that, we check those contracts thoroughly, and we also review the SLA, which is essentially like an additional subcontract that explains in more detail exactly how the service maintenance will be provided. We look closely from a legal point of view. We look at the uptime guarantees, primarily for the cards provided by the contractor, because, well, we want to achieve maximum uptime so that all our capacities are running for the maximum amount of time. This is another key to mining as much Gonka as possible in every epoch. So we're working on it right now, and our upcoming capacities, these as well, are expected to be around 99.5% and even higher uptime by time. With some contractors, we're even developing a theme where they guarantee not just node uptime, but also ensure that everything runs smoothly and reliably so that we can always be there for you, providing the stability and support you need. Ensure that every Gonka epoch will be processed to the maximum. So, well, those are the main points. Reputation, contracts, geolocation, uptime. Good. Based on this data alone, a huge number of contractors are filtered out. We only work with the best.
Okay, he raised his hand. Alex Yamilov. You can join in, Alex. You've been given moderator access. Turn on your mic and ask your question.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks a lot for the stream. I really missed having a stream like this. Basically, many answers have been received. And I recently saw a situation where blocks were missed, so to speak, right? What was that related to? How quickly do you react to that? And well, what's the most common reason for this now, and how often does it happen?
I'll try to give an answer. It turns out that due to the factors I have mentioned, and because the network is still quite young and there are ongoing permanent updates, sometimes DDoS attacks unfortunately happen to the network. This usually does not depend directly on the actions of any individual network participant. But knowing this, working on it, doing everything we can on our side, we're also, as I mentioned earlier, working to negotiate with the contractors so that if any Gonka epochs are missed, they can compensate us with additional, let's say, AI credits that we would then be able to spend back on capacity. And even if that does happen, to help make up for those losses, these extra credits would serve as compensation for us. In this way, we can ensure that any missed epochs are at least partially offset, helping us maintain our operations as smoothly as possible.
Can I ask another question? Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you well.
Yeah. Yeah, so to become, say, the #1 pool and rake in as many tokens as possible, what's needed for that? Getting as many inferences as possible. What else? Like, how can we help become the #1 pool, for real, to get as many rewards as possible?
In order to become the #1 pool, first and foremost, we need more computing power. And we are basically heading towards that on a well-trodden path. I think the capacity that we are connecting right now at this moment, and which will be, I think, put into operation early next week, maybe even by the end of this one if things go well, we'll already, I think, break into the top 10, if not the top 7, we'll have to see. The situation is changing dynamically. To become #1, we really need to increase the amount of power we have several times over, maybe even more. And for that, we definitely need more users, more people to join us, I think.
Oh, one more question left. Can I?
Yes, go ahead.
Sure, go on.
Yeah, thanks. And regarding the direct use of tokens right now, right? I was checking on Grok, and it gave me information that there's a certain neural network where you can already use Gonka tokens to pay and basically enjoy all the benefits, that are in common use. Are they available now? How much are they being used? And how is this market growing in that sense? Are new services appearing to generate images or videos?
Yes, I see. I get the question. Look, even now I've already said that the main clients, both now and in the future, I think will be AI companies, various startups, small and large, that will prefer Gonka over big corporate neural networks for the reasons I've mentioned. But the question you're raising concerns, retail, meaning regular retail users. And I actually looked into this a bit before the stream, studied this topic a little. And in fact, there's already a sufficient number of public services where you can practically for free, I mean, it's really much cheaper, if not free for the user, get access to, a chat interface analog like with ChatGPT. It's just that the model, currently it's mostly the Quen model with 235 billion parameters, which is, it's an analog if anyone knows, remembers, or is in the loop. At one point, DeepSeek was really hyped up, and even NVIDIA stocks dropped significantly. This is a DeepSeek analog, maybe even more powerful in some ways. It's currently in its third version, and it's more than enough for almost any task an average user might have. And there are these services. Many of them offer 20, 30, or even more free requests. And if you connect to them via their API, I've actually seen different offers where you can get up to 1 million output tokens for free. And that more than covers the needs of an average person. That's how it is now. In the future, I think there will be even more of these services. And people will pay with Gonka tokens for these services because it'll be much, much cheaper. And that way there will be fewer and fewer Gonka tokens. Vision free circulation. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. We have other speakers who, want to ask questions.
I'm on a roll now.
Let's give them a chance. Alex, thanks. Well,
Thank you.
Anton Sergey. No, Oleg, wait, don't leave yet.
No, I get it. I'm thanking Alex.
All right, okay.
For the question.
Dim, let me ask Oleg a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I have a question that's often asked. Maybe you can answer it, maybe not. There's this project by Pavel Durov, right? Like Ton or whatever it's called. So how is it fundamentally different from Gonka, and why is Gonka better or more efficient? Can you answer a question like that?
Yeah, I know about that project, but the project is at an even earlier stage, and for it, the benefits are unclear compared to Gonka. It has there's a much smaller ecosystem built around it right now. It's much harder for users to get connected, and basically, an average everyday user, right? If in the case of Gonka, as I've already explained, they can go and get answers to their questions there in the chat. Here, in the case of Pavel Durov, at the moment, it's not clear at all what this computing power will be spent on. Well, at the moment, it's claimed that there's translation of text within Telegram or some kind of automatic summary that's supposedly carried out through this service, but it's incomparably little compared to what Gonka can offer, in my view. Besides, to be honest, to me personally, this story seems a bit shady, in the sense that I don't know how familiar you are, but Telegram has the TON coin. And one of the downsides, so to speak, of this coin is that there's a huge amount of pre-mine, meaning coins mined in advance, which were put into wallets by some affiliated parties, as I assume. And given this history, I'm afraid the same might happen with Kokoon. Whereas in the case of Gonka, everything looks much cleaner, fairer, and more transparent. Well, that's my view.
Yeah, I see. Thanks for the answer. Well, that's exactly what I wanted to hear, because, I also understand that Gonka is more about scale, it's for scale, while Telegram is trying something on top of what's already there.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks.
Anton?
Yeah, hi again. My first question about data centers was asked, but I've got another one. Maybe not exactly on the topic of pools, but technically 100%. How, for instance, for a user who wants to deploy an AI agent or some system based on Gonka, how does that happen technically? I mean, do you need some specialist like you, Oleg, or can it be done on your own in order to conduct such an experiment?
Well, in order for you to actually launch your own model, I think that well, for a person who has never dealt with at least a terminal, that is the command line, it's definitely not worth getting into at all. If a person, well, even if they're not some super programmer, but technically, even a confident PC user is unlikely to manage. I'll put it that way. You need to be quite technically savvy to know which commands to deploy in the terminal and how to set everything up correctly there so that it works properly. It's better not to get into this right now at this stage and use, indeed, the services of a specialist.
Uh-huh. So it's mostly going to be a corporate solution now, right? And not for individuals.
Individuals, I've already said. What's the main demand for individuals? I mean, 80% of the demand is just basic questions and chatting in a chat, like how you talk to ChatGPT. That's already implemented. Moreover, if you, for example, want to build some kind of service or application based on artificial intelligence that runs on Gonka's computing power, you can do that too. To do this, you can simply use one of those services that are already deployed and publicly available online. Just get yourself an API key, and then through that API key, connect it to your app and start using it. So, well, if we consider an ordinary user to be someone who wants to deploy their own AI app and is thinking about which data center capacity to choose, Chat, GPT, OpenAI, or Gonka, well, maybe they can, but I doubt that's an average user.
Uh-huh. That's clear overall. Great, thank you.
Yes. A question, Oleg. Why is Gonka a Cosmos blockchain or similar to Cosmos or a fork of Cosmos? Well, like, what kind of blockchain does it have anyway? How does this blockchain differ from others? So, can you comment on the blockchain?
I won't go deep into the technical details. I'll just say that in Gonka has its own blockchain, but it's built on the SDK, that is the toolkit, so to speak, provided by Cosmos. To Cosmos, essentially, and especially to their token, it doesn't have much to do with it at all. It's just that there are, for example, a bunch of projects or other networks built, for instance, on Ethereum. They're called EVM, meaning based on the Ethereum virtual machine. And Gonka has the Cosmos SDK. This was dictated by certain technical nuances, decisions that are better suited specifically for these purposes of building such a network. Well, I don't think it makes sense to go deep into that.
Well, as I understand it, they didn't start developing their own. It's generally, well, like too much of a, well, like a non-core task, right? And unnecessary.
Yes, of course.
So they just took the solution from the market that fits their goals and simply deployed it on their nodes.
Yes, tweaked it, deployed it.
And that's why it's compatible with Cosmos wallets. And that's why we use the exact wallet that Gonka recommends, which is Keplr.
Yes, Keplr or Leap, but mostly Keplr. It's the most common solution. It's actually much simpler than the popular MetaMask. The interface is much more user-friendly, and, well, I recommend Keplr to everyone.
And regarding the wallet, can I add the Gonka blockchain to Trust Wallet or MetaMask through some settings and load it there? Or is it better to just use Keplr?
Dima, well, I could certainly write up some instructions for you if you'd like after the Zoom call on how to add this network and use it in MetaMask or Trust. I can briefly explain each step just to make sure everything is clear. But frankly speaking, those are all just workaround solutions. And the most native and, in my opinion, correct approach here would be to use Keplr after all. It's for, it might seem to some like it's, an extra complication, right? Some are used to MetaMask, but just try downloading it once to your phone or installing the plugin just like MetaMask or Trust. And you'll see just how long it takes, spoiler, about 3 to 4 minutes, including writing down your seed phrase, and how much more visually pleasing, comfortable, and convenient it is than MetaMask. When you're setting it up while creating the wallet, you'll just need to uncheck all the boxes for different networks and just click Gonka. And, well, that's it. The next step shows your Gonka address. And it's all very convenient. Everything runs smoothly. I recommend everyone basically not to bother with workarounds.
All right, Oleg, I want to thank you now. We've successfully finished within an hour today. We'll definitely invite you back in 2 weeks.
I'll try to be there.
Well, I mean, not next week, but the week after, based on your schedule. We'll plan this meeting. Yeah, well, usually we have it on Thursday or Friday. Thanks again.
Thanks, Dima. Those were some very interesting questions.
Yes, well, we're evolving, right? And our level is rising. So thanks to questions exactly like these, I understand that we're working based on client requests. What the client asks, when we answer, they're satisfied. After that, well, everyone's happy and the overall result is rapid. Friends, everyone subscribe to our Telegram channels in English and in Russian. If you'd like to study this in more detail or claim a $25 mining bonus, please register. Ask for the link from the person who invited you to this event. Watch the recording, we'll translate it into Czechoslovak and English very soon. Ask for the recording. Until next time. Together, we will become the #1 pool. That is,
I'm sure of it.
yes, striving for collective success. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye-bye. Bye.